Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we kept going with the Chaos Undivided storyline and started dealing with the rebellion caused by Alpha Legion, and this time we'll maybe knock out the entirety of it. We'll just have to wait and see.
Inquisitor, the main routes are still blocked by the rebels. Our men have engaged them, but it could take a while until we can break through.
Death in the line of duty is the most honorable sacrifice. Send me your guards.
I can assure you that we will spare no fire or manpower to get through. However, we can't use heavy artillery. Otherwise, we will destroy the routes for our own troops.
This is no time for storms. Without being able to wrestle, I will defend the sacred constituted chamber as long as I can.
May the Emperor be your strength.
So, I was sitting there watching more Resident Evil 4 remake playthrough stuff, and they actually did a really good job at something spooky. And it's the regenerators. The regenerators, I think, are now the prime example of horror simply in existing. The dark room, the first one is in, the glowing orange eyes. It works so well. Imagine that in any game. You're just clearing out an area, it's really dark, you turn, and after a second, you just see this shadow-looking blob that you couldn't really make out. Suddenly you just get two glowing orange dots, and then it just starts moving towards you. That's spooky. That is good horror. Not relying on jump scares, just dread and realization. I still haven't heard anything about an update giving us the Sororitas for this game yet. I don't think we're going to be getting that for a good while. It probably won't be until this season is over, because they're not going to do an extra update. On one hand, I don't blame them, but on the other hand, I do blame them because they kind of need to add stuff to sell to get money to then add more stuff. Console development is a vicious cycle of you need to make money to update your game, to make money to update your game. And if you ever break part of that link, you're kind of screwed. I remember long ago, that used to be the excuse of why games would be as beta or early access on PlayStation, because I want to say it was beta stuff got free updates apparently. That's just the rumor I heard. So games would always remain in beta so that they could get away with getting those updates. I could see it, but I feel like at the same time, eventually it's Sony would catch on and be like, hey, wait a second, you've been beta for 6 years. And that's the case with Warframe. They're at 9 years now. I feel like if that was the trick they're trying to pull, it would have been caught by now. And I feel like you would have done something. You would have changed the wording on contracts, or just something to prevent abuse of a system like that. Just kind of sucks. Even though I'm not planning on getting the Sororitas, I don't like the class, because the weapons are weird, and just kind of breaking the existing system. It's as people have said, it seems to be just blatantly overpowered. Which kind of sucks because, yeah, playing an overpowered class is fun, but it's more fun to build into being overpowered as opposed to just being overpowered. Kind of lost track. I knew we were getting the Empyrean Elite soon, but I didn't know exactly when. Also, it wasn't a good payout, but I don't really care. What was I gonna get? Another Infinity? System just like, yeah, give this guy, you know, the 4th Infinity. He needs it. It would at least be cool if it was like, oh, you can get Infinity for multiple slots, and then you could just get crazy buffs by getting kill streaks. Because I don't even pay attention to kill streaks in this game. I think it's mostly because the only times I really ever get them are off of, like right now we're on a kill streak, but I think it just wore out. Oh no, it's still going. But like, did I get a boost? Okay, plus 15 base damage, plus 5% XP gain, tactical strike, increases suppression damage. It's not really worth it. Like, you have to effectively plan that out and go, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit here, bait like a ton of like gobblers or any horde enemy, kill them for a big boost, and then roll into the next group of enemies and hope for the best. Or you have to have some Diablo berserker spin to win trick, which I think the Crusader can do, but that's about it. And I don't think it's nearly as good, because I remember for the Crusader, it used to be really easy to get the gear to make it like infinite, and then you just run riffs and just Beyblade through the whole fight, get every kill, go to the next zone, spin through. I think a big thing is they would have a big area, but your goal wasn't to get through the whole area, it was just to kill as many as you can. They would just kind of overpopulate the area until the meter fills. Which I can respect, honestly. That was a really good design, because it made rifts fun, because it was never, oh, I have this downtime if I just have to run around and do nothing. Oh, one thing I saw for Diablo that I'm gonna have to look into more is the world bosses. I don't know how I feel about it. On one hand, I'm like, oh, cool, you know, I like world bosses. I think they're neat. On the other hand, I don't know. They feel kind of weird. And knowing how people are, it's only a matter of time before somebody just gets really weird about it and dedicates like their next 8 months of their life to setting up a solo world boss killing build, only for it to get nerfed like a month later. Because that's usually what happens in stuff like this. If something is that powerful, it always gets nerfed. No, we'll switch to this for a bit. I don't use this gun enough. Honestly, it works pretty well. For being, I believe, an actually underpowered Radium Carbine, it does hold up pretty well. Oh yeah, this mission. I was about to say, I kind of wish these enemies would move a little faster. I don't really need the downtime here.
That was a nice war, but we are still in the line. Death to the traitors.
Ready to fight!
Yeah, this gun will benefit from a lot of the single target stuff, I think. Because I want to say there's a magazine size perk in there? Or skill? I don't remember. I could just look it up, but I'm lazy.
Ready to fight!
Okay, so the Healy turret does not heal guardsmen. Good to know. A little disappointing, but what can you do?
For the Emperor!
Inquisitor, augury units detect a 44.5% increase in energy traces and locomotion signatures. 97% chance that this is the full force of the attackers, preparing for a final assault.
God, look at all the guardsmen.
I said charge!
See, this is something I'd like to see in Space Marine 2 is like, I want fights where there's just a ton of guardsmen that get mowed down. I would actually even like it as an end match stat. Like, oh, how many guardsmen died, or how many traitor guardsmen die. Because even though it's something you really can't control, it's kind of neat to be like, oh, okay, so this is how much carnage this fight had. Because that's something I always love in games when devs finally release like a, hey, in the past year, this has happened. It's always such a cool thing to see like, oh, this is the most popular class or weapon, or this enemy has killed this many players. It's far more interesting than junk stats like, oh, this many people got this achievement. I don't care. Who cares about achievements? This isn't 2008 anymore. I'm more interested in just how people play.
hero, Inquisitor.
Yeah, I have to be critting because I was getting bleed hits,
To fight.
which is really nasty. Especially, that's probably why this gun's so good, is because I'm getting bleed and poison procs just continually. And I bet I can make it even stronger with just pouring more into the dot tree. Hey, 2 attribute points. Let's go slap those into... I don't know what I want to put them in. Yeah, probably that. Or no, those are skill points that I got. Either way, yeah, trying to get the 25% damage bonus. Nothing really of value here. Which is fine, I'm not too broken up over that. Yeah, I could... Oh man, I can make this so much nastier. Actually, let's look quick. What's ranged got us? Okay, extra crit chance. Reload time would be nice. Single DPS we can get. Not a whole hell of a lot, honestly. Like, it's gonna be this just to here. This to probably here. That's about it. A lot of this isn't worthwhile. But I think we should probably just keep knocking out the critical hit stuff. Get that out of the way.
Inquisitor, this planet has been under quarantine for the past 2 centuries, since a necro plague decimated the whole population. I recommend you make haste.
Splendid.
I'll admit the radium rifle isn't that good here, or radium carbine. But I think that's just the ranges and... because it's a lot less linear. Yeah, I can't even sit here and be like, oh, I can't wait to get a demon forged weapon, or in this case we'd be getting holy weapons, just because it's so early on that I don't expect them in the slightest.
Potentially useful assets, but their current situation is terminal. Immediate action required.
I do wonder what holy weapon traits are like, though.
Send basic. Follow and protect order to the survivors.
Onward! Don't blame your guardsmen!
Kind of funny, all the time I've spent playing this game, I've never actually gotten a holy weapon. Or I might have, actually, on the assassin. But it was like a arc blade. Yeah, it looks like we're not going to be getting a... one of the seasonal champions popping up for this fight. Not unless we just get hit with a ton of champions suddenly.
Is at hand. Time to rebuild this wretched Imperium. Don't wait for orders. Don't wait for saviors. We are Legion. We are the Hydra. You cut down one, two will take its place. These are the words of Prophet Karmax, your savior beyond.
Oh, something I saw was the Chaos Dwarfs. We're finally getting them. I'm excited for that. Total War Warhammer 3. They're finally getting Chaos Dwarves. I do wonder who's next, because they've talked about, like, the devs have said that they're going to do a bunch of, like, legendary heroes, which I don't really care for. Mostly because unless they give them actually unique skill trees, they're just heroes that can't die. And that's not nearly as interesting as you would think. My whole thing is it would be... I want them to do Ind and Koresh, and then just do Nippon. I want Samurai. Admittedly, I would just rig up every fight, like every endgame, just to be vampires, so I can have a vampire apocalypse every time. Only thing I'm thinking, though, is I don't think the vampire apocalypse... I don't know if that includes Vampire Coast, or if it's just Vampire Counts. I know they're gonna do, eventually fit one for every faction, but I just don't know if they currently have it rolled, those two rolled into one. Because on one hand it'd be kinda cool, but on the other hand, all you'd have to do realistically is if you know what's coming, especially if you did have Nippon and you started in the east, you could take one of those seaways, get to the New World, and then just focus all your efforts claiming that, because there's no vampire counts there. And then when the vampire apocalypse kicks off, you just fortify your lands immensely, and then just come in swinging. Man, I'd want to see just samurais throwing down. That's the whole thing. Fire up the Eurobeat remix of Sabaton song Shiroyama and just beat ass as a samurai. I also saw, I think, Warhammer Old World, they're finally doing stuff like the Amazons, which kind of surprised me, because that's another faction that before that they didn't really get enough lore. There's a lot of factions that either like chaos sub-factions or just factions in general that were just like, oh yeah, here's maybe like a white dwarf issue that we talk for like 3 pages about these guys, do a couple stat blocks, and then we're never going to touch them again. Which always kind of sucked, because I like the factions, and it's kind of cool when you have stuff for them. Oh, I also saw... This is actually something I forgot about during the Lionel Johnson video, was there's Beastmen getting added for 40K. They're, I believe, Chaos, which kind of blows, but it fits. I just really want to have a Beastman auxiliary unit for Imperial Guard. Because I would absolutely run either a full Beastmen guard army or at least Beastmen support. Plus, it's the closest thing for now that we're getting to Space Skaven. I wonder what they're gonna do if we're gonna have, like, Chaos Dwarves for 40k. Because now that we have the Leagues of Votan, it would make sense to do Chaos Dwarfs. Because it's like, you know, some of them have fallen to Chaos. There's no way all of their computers and stuff are completely fine and untouched. God, this map just keeps going. Feels like I've just been knocking dudes out for a while. I think part of it is not having the burst damage. I got too used to the Assassin and the Psyker, where the Assassin I could just do the dart burst and any group would bleed out in a matter of seconds. And then with the Psyker I could just do the one Ring of Fire nuke that burned down any lower level guy, and then I would just fire beam any survivors. I think that's the curse right now for at least this class, is it doesn't have like nuke damage. Its biggest advantage is just it has summons, so it can tie up a bunch of guys. You can either run like all Castellans, or if you wanted to, you could run a bunch of Siloys and just tar pit guys. Which I guess tar pitting works, but I don't know how good in this game. Oh yeah, and these kills do give you visible progress on the XP meter. I was about to say, maybe I should just stop trying to like hunt down everyone. But it does pay for itself in the end, so I kinda have to. XP rewards are too good to pass up.
According to this message,
Okay, at this point we're just gonna go, because otherwise I have to just clear out this area and there's nothing I'm getting out of it.
Ready to fight.
On the upside, I at least cleared out everything to the objective. So that at least paid for itself.
I've reached the underground entrance.
Yeah, nothing good came out of that either. Oh well. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.